Hey everybody, this is Bo back in the lounge. We're going to go out to San Francisco State University, talk to their head wrestling coach, Coach Jensen. How you doing, sir?
Oh, very good.
Coach, thanks for taking the time with us today. Did you have a chance to go down to Fort Lauderdale with every other wrestling coach?
No, I did not. It's a little too far away, and we don't have it in the budget. So.
Well, I'm trying to figure out how in wrestling season you guys go to the worst places in the universe to do your tournaments and matches, and you're not there just one day. You're there for several days, but yet you have this coaches meeting in one of the most beautiful places in the planet. That is ironic. That's irony right there.
Yeah, it is. We go to, all over the Midwest, but when the convention came up, we don't have it in our budget, so we can't make it down there. So.
Well, you actually got a good place to hang out in. You got water, you got beach, the temperature's decent. San Francisco's a beautiful place to be.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, we're a mile away from the beach. Our campus is very much in a park-like setting. I live a block away from the beach outside. If I look out my street, out my sidewalk, I can see the ocean. So it's pretty tough, to live in California.
Yeah, especially if you're near the beach. You got this. You got to worry about those surfer injuries for your wrestlers, don't you?
That's true. I got several stories. One time, guys locked their keys in the car. Right, they went out to surf before practice, and they missed practice, so they had some nice sprints. That was their excuse. That they kept on surfing. They didn't try to run back for practice.
Yeah, I'm sure of it. I can just see that. Coach, man, I'm sorry. I was surfing a wave. The curls were hot. Oh, wait a minute. I locked my keys in my car. That's a better answer, isn't it?
Yeah, and now that guy's a high school coach, so you figure.
Yeah, for real, Coach. Coach, you've got a nice mix of students right now on your roster between seniors and freshmen. Actually, I think it's a pretty strong roster from what it looks like. How's it laying out right now for you this early in the season?
Well, we returned at least 3 of our All-Americans coming back, and we're trying to get a 6th year out of Curtis Sherkamp, and we actually looked at one of our bylaws. Because he's had some health problems, and we might get him back for a 6th year. So we could have all 4 of our All-Americans coming back for this year. So we've got a pretty solid squad. 8 of the 10 returning starters come back, and we brought in some nice kids too. So.
Well, Coach, I think there's a lot going on right now, especially in California. You have an explosion of superstars in mixed martial arts that are coming from the smaller schools onto the national stage. The visibility in the program was talked about in Fort Lauderdale, that they want to make sure that the violence of the sport doesn't carry over. But I think the fact of the personalities of the wrestler, that won't happen. I think the fans, once they figure out what wrestling's about versus what martial arts is generally about, are you seeing that pendulum move and a little more eyes showing up to try to figure out what this wrestling thing's all about?
I think so. I think the interest, because most of the good MMA guys are, former wrestlers, and we actually have some guys that are at pretty high level. But, I think they're going to, most wrestlers are pretty humble and everything else, so I don't think that's going to carry over into the mixed martial arts at all. So I think it's okay. I mean, it's the MMA is exploding, and I think wrestling is kind of, one of the training grounds for that, so.
Yeah, we hear it all the time from coaches that you can just look at the fact that, especially at a smaller school, you can see a lot more foot traffic where the pressure's not on as much as a D1 program. A lot of D1s are having a lot of success, but some of them are struggling trying to get more, cheeks in the chair to show up for the events. And, your program has been very, very well received with the Americans you have signed up moving forward. Do you get any level of comfortability for the season, even though you have those All-Americans coming?
No, it's never comfortable. I mean, we still got to work hard and put in a good effort and everything else. And who knows with injuries and if the kids took, the right summers. We had a few of them take summer school, all that kind of stuff. So until school starts here in a couple of weeks, we don't know quite what we have. I mean, for the most part, you're counting on those kids, and hopefully, that they materialize in the end. So.
Now, when you get a chance to head out to the high schools and check out some of these athletes and possibly get a chance to meet them one-on-one, what are things that you see wrestlers do every single year you wish you had a chance to get to them while they were like in a junior level to really work on for that senior year?
Well, I think the technique, number one, our standing technique, neutral position is pretty good. But once we get them into college, the mat position, the parterre position, top and bottom, most of them are not very good riders and pinners or tilters. And then, if they meet up with a good college guy, they can't get off bottom. So those are the two areas that I try to emphasize. They're pretty good on their feet, leg attacks and everything else, but it's top and bottom, which is a lost art. A lot of, they take a kid down, they just cut him. Well, we get an extra point if we ride him on top, and we also, our best kids are the ones that tilt people. All Americans are the guys that, are turning the kids on top and then getting the heck off the bottom and then do it again type of thing. So.
Yeah, I see the same thing, to be honest with you, Coach. I watch a lot of high school, and there's a lot of high school guys that are wrestling in college now in this area out here in the Detroit area. We see them, their names showing up on rosters. Every time we look down rosters, we recognize schools. But I think that's the one thing you brought up that I didn't really realize, but it is a problem. You're watching a lot of these good wrestlers, and when they're on top, they let the guy get out, or they're not trying to get the guy to the side and roll into a pin. Very few wrestlers do you see really handle either one of those positions well. I have to say I don't see that very often right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing. And we try to, our top recruits come from certain programs, high school or JCs, that we're trying to emphasize, that we know the coaches or their former alumni or their college guys that, have a well-rounded, in all three positions, as we call it, so.
Well, Coach, you've got a nice young group coming in. How inexperienced is generally a freshman when they come into your program? We've already talked about the adjustment between up and bottom, but there's got to be a few other ones that you sit there and you look at the kid, he's talented, it looks like a stud, but you roll your eyes because they're going to make the same mistake every single time as a freshman.
Yeah, I mean, the good ones are going to adjust. I mean, the kids that are the high school state placers, we know that they can come in and good example last year, our 133-pounder came in and had some growing pains, but in the season he finished 5th in the nation. But he made some mistakes and everything else, and he grew up on it. But then on the other hand, we have another kid similar weight, but he didn't grow as much. It just depends on the weight classes and things like that. But it usually takes at least a year to develop. I mean, they come in the room, the practice situation is tougher than they've ever had before, and it's like going to a state meet every single day. I mean, they've got to be ready and on, and it's a drag after 6 months getting your head bashed in and everything else. Some guys, the guys that can survive are going to be better, and we tend to redshirt most freshmen. But if we have a hole, or the kid's good enough and beats out a returning kid, like our 133-pounder last year, he finished 5th in the nation. So.
Coach, the other thing that a lot of wrestlers, a lot of fans of the sport don't realize is how massive your tournaments that you go to. You're not just going to certain tournaments. You're going to the big dog tournaments right now, and you get a chance to see some of the big giants out there. And with the Americans you have, you're definitely doing something right in your program to definitely win those.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, we go to the two toughest tournaments, I think, in the nation, Las Vegas tournament, toughest collegiate tournament. We go to Midlands, toughest collegiate open tournament, Northwestern. So those are two of the toughest tournaments. And, we're just trying to get the best competition. That's been our philosophy all along. Win-loss record, dual meet-wise, we don't care about too much at the end, regionals and nationals. That's what we're looking forward to. This year, first time in about 4 years, we did so well at nationals. We're going to the national duels at UNI, so that's what we're looking forward to is try to get back on top again. So.
Okay, Coach. Last thing, real quickly. Who on your squad right now has the greatest chance to really grow in your program? You can name weight class or the individual.
Well, probably the best kid right now is a 133-pounder. I don't want to mention names, but he was a true freshman, finished 5th, and he's probably the biggest one. Another one is we have a senior at 141 that was an All-American. His brother was an All-American. My assistant coach is his brother and all this kind of stuff, but he's probably good. And the other one that's going to really grow this year, who was an All-American, was our heavyweight. So he was an All-American 6 last year. We expect him to move up the ladder. But those 3 returning All-Americans are probably going to have a big growth spurt because we're counting on them to, win 75, 80% of their matches. So.
Absolutely. Coach, thanks so much for taking so much time with us. We're going to ask permission one more time to give you a call in about a month now and stay on top of some of your early season to get ready for your really big jump.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Lars Jensen from San Francisco State University. He's got a great program going out there, and we always get him on several times throughout the year. Keep your email messages coming about his program. Thanks a lot, Coach.
Thank you.
We are off the air.